Thank you, Dr. Sen. Just a few words. The IT industry, to me, the Indian IT industry particularly, is a rather strange creature. Unlike other species of the corporate world in India, this one actually has a conscience. And I think we see that visibly in what the IT industry has done in the Indian context, and the Nasscom Foundation is very proud to be able to take this forward. To me, nothing signifies this than the turnout here today, and my apologies to all of you who are standing at the back. We had to make a last-minute shift, but that apart, I don't think any of us, and probably not even Rufina, expected so many people. Not only so many people, but I'm particularly delighted to see CEOs from small and big IT companies, which shows their commitment to this cause. If we can have the CEO of the biggest IT company in India, Mr. Ramudurai, sitting here, and I see Rajiv Pawar here, and I see many other CEOs, I think that signifies what we want to do here. Dr. Sen has given us an agenda of how we need to look at ourselves in terms of the IT industry being a global threat, take a global view, and I think there's a great deal of what we need to do both globally and within the country. I think many of us who are familiar with the Indian setting would recognize that the biggest problems and probably the cause of the most oppression comes not so much from wealth differentials as information differentials. If I know something you don't, I have power over you. And that comes from a combination of a lack of formal literacy to connections and networking that give me more information than you have. It could be about farm prices, it could be about new government schemes, it could be about what is going to happen, and therefore that dominance takes place. And if there's one thing information technology can do in a very powerful way, it is to empower those who don't have the information. We've seen signs of this happening thanks to the Right to Information Act and its actualization and realization through IT, where you can actually access that information in practice, not just in theory, and then use that to empower people about things that they're supposed to know, things being done in their name, monies being paid out to people who may or may not exist. And I think this is going to create a transformation. So if there's one role that IT can play centrally, quite apart from what Dr. Sen mentioned in terms of what we might do to some of the basic problems of education and health, of monitoring the various schemes in which the government is putting in a lot of money, things like the Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, the health schemes, I think it is in just empowering people through information. That's part of the agenda of Nasscom Foundation through the Rural Knowledge Network, and I think we will see how best we can take it forward. We also take, Dr. Sen, your comments on being a sort of responsible global industry very seriously. We have talked about inclusiveness not only in India but at the global level, which means a certain responsibility towards larger issues. I don't think the IT industry wants to or is in a position to get into the difficult politics of various places, including Myanmar, but I do think, as he rightly said, there's some role, and even if we just stand there, so to say, I think there's a role that we can play there, and we will take that forward. A more operational comment, very pleased that Nasscom Foundation has now once again put together a brief report, which we call Catalyzing Change, on what is being done in this area by a number of IT companies. It is not comprehensive. The IT industry does a lot more. It's a start of a few case studies to be indicative. And our intention in this effort this year as last year is not only to showcase the good work being done, which I think is a good cause in itself and laudatory, but particularly to use this so that others can take this as an example and to spread the message of what they might do. For very long in India, philanthropy has meant what I like to call the Tirupati syndrome, which means you commit all the sins you want to and then go there once a year and put a lot of money into the handi and think you're absolved of them. The equivalent of taking a dip in the Ganga and saying now you're pure. I do think the industry has moved way beyond that, and the IT industry in particular has engaged with the real problems of India on an ongoing and deep basis. And I think this effort in catalyzing change is to bring together some of those experiences, to learn from each other, to share that information, and hopefully to inspire others to go forward on that path. Let me request Mr. Arindam Guha to come up here, and then request Mr. Saurabh Srivastava, Chairman of Nasscom Foundation, to get Dr. Amartya Sen to formally release the Catalyzing Change book, which PricewaterhouseCoopers has helped us to put together. And Arindam, thank you for being here and your team for doing a great job.